Welcome, my 34 subscribers, everyone on Wrestling Reddit, and whoever Zack Sabre Jr.'s opponent is, welcome to my review of AEW Dynamite for the June 22, 2022 show. Let's begin. So we start off with a promo. We get Danielson's announcement like right away, and it's a bad news basically. He's unable to perform at Forbidden Door, leaving Zack Sabre Jr. without an opponent. So we get the usual thing where he announces he's injured, but he promises that he'll be coming back stronger, just like everyone who does this. But this is a lot less emotional, so given that Danielson is heel, and this injury probably isn't as bad as Punk's is. So yeah, we don't get Danielson in Forbidden Door. He's probably going to show up in New Japan in the future. But instead, he announces that he himself will find an opponent for Zack Sabre Jr., and he implies somebody who has never wrestled in AEW before with the words, and I quote, "You are gonna be astounded at what he does in AEW." So yeah, he implies that this is gonna be a debutante, and people are gonna think it's Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, and yeah, that's the most likely candidate. I mean, it should be since it's a big show, or it could be like Bray Wyatt, but he isn't a technical wrestler. I don't think anyone would work if it's not Claudio, so I'm hoping it's Claudio, but whoever it is, Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be in the ring with this person, so yeah, it's probably going to be a good match. So after this, he heals the crowd, he doesn't reveal who it is, and also smart since it will keep Zack Sabre Jr. on his toes. And then speaking of Zack Sabre Jr., he comes out and he says a couple of British cuss words at Danielson, and then they just like stare down and stuff. So yeah, nice that we get to see Zack Sabre Jr. in a suit and not in wrestling gear, because if we see him in wrestling gear and he's not wrestling gear, because if he was in his wrestling gear, the American fans will just make fun of how he looks and how small he is. So yeah, this is a good way to debut Zack Sabre Jr. on Dynamite. So yeah, this was an effective promo. This guy has been in the business for a long time, so he knows how to cut a promo, he knows how to play with the crowd, and this is like a nice substitute to what we'll get to Forbidden Door, because it brings in like intrigue, surprises, and like mystery to that match. So after this, we get a Jon Moxley promo, and the placement of this is kind of weird. I think this should have happened like later on in the show, because you just started the show out with a non-wrestling segment, so why follow it up with a non-wrestling segment? I mean, AEW makes it like their thing that they don't do this, and they do this. And I think the placement of Blood and Guts is too close to Forbidden Door, because in this promo, Mox has to build both Forbidden Door and Blood and Guts happening 2 days after. And yeah, Mox does it successfully, but it's kind of weird talking about two of your rivalries at the same time. He starts with the Blood and Guts one against the JAS, and then the Tanahashi one after. For me, it's like you're diluting both. I actually thought Blood and Guts was happening like 2 weeks after the Forbidden Door show, but it turns out it's happening like next week, so it's weird. Jon Moxley does a good promo, like as usual. He came from a place that values promos more than wrestling, so yeah, I mean, this is expected, but I don't like how he diluted two of his feuds in a single promo, so yeah. So we're 12 minutes in, and then we get the first match of the show. It's the 6-man tag team match between the United Empire, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, versus basically Chaos, so that's the best friends in Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, and Roppongi Vice with Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. So I get the criticism that at points these 6-man tag team matches can turn into tornado tag team matches, where people make rapid tags and then multiple people are in the ring at the same time to do their moves. Jim Ross even points this out, but it kind of works. It speeds up the match and it makes it more exciting. They do this in Japan a lot, especially the junior heavyweights, and it works. I appreciate Jim Ross in giving his criticism on this, but I'd rather him say it to the actual talent and not to the people at home because, again, it's burying the company and Jim Ross does this all the time. So I like the performances of everyone in this match, especially the moves that they do where they don't give their opponent any time to breathe. Like they just hit in rapid succession. So everyone here gets a decent amount of shine. All of them manage to do something cool, especially Aussie Open, because we'll get to that. While Orange Cassidy looked the strongest among everyone because he was the most successful, he didn't get beat up a lot, he successfully did all of his comedy Orange Cassidy spots, and he got the pin at the end, so that's that. So before I get to the spots of the match, I would like to point out the worst spot of the match, and this is like this sell that Will Ospreay does of a fencing response, and it's kind of bad because if this happens in real life, it's pretty fucking serious, so I would appreciate Will Ospreay not doing this one. And the real one just happened like not so long ago in Cyberfight to Tetsuya Endo, so I would have appreciated if we didn't have this spot, so yeah, minus points for Will Ospreay. So now for the spots of the match, I'll start first with a runner-up since there's a lot of cool stuff in this match, and I only have like 3 legit spots, but if I would give a runner-up one, it's the flip that Will Ospreay does outside, and then Orange Cassidy just steps away. This would have made top 3 if, like, it was a closer call, but we have to stay safe. This was an awesome spot. By stay safe, I mean Orange was, like, already far away from Ospreay, so this made it less impressive than it would be if it was a close call. So number 3 spot of the match is this Canadian Destroyer that Kyle Fletcher does, and it's initiated by a kick by Will Ospreay, and this just looks so cool. Number 2 spot in the match is where United Empire, like all of them, powerbomb each member of Chaos, like at the apron at the same time. And then for the number 1 spot in the match is this double team assisted spinebuster by Aussie Open, but Kyle Fletcher is the one doing the move, and this is the move that got the most reaction, and it was the most impactful looking and the coolest looking, so yeah, this is number 1. And so the finish of the match is Aussie Open trying to do like the Coriolis effect, I think that's what it's called, their finisher on Trent Beretta, but Trent counters and then does like a tornado DDT on Mark Davis, and as he goes for this DDT, he sort of kicks Kyle Fletcher in the face, making him groggy, so he tags in Orange Cassidy, and then Orange Cassidy delivers an orange punch to Kyle Fletcher for the pinfall. And then after this, they have a stare down with, like, now all of Aussie Open since Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan come in. And then, like, FTR come in, it evens up the odds. And then, like, they have this, like, a stare down. United Empire leaves, and then the babyfaces stand tall at the end. So, yeah, this match was pretty fun. This really showed me what Aussie Open can do, and I wish they were in Forbidden Door, but we get Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan instead. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this does its job as a return match for Orange Cassidy. But my problem with this is that he touched Will Ospreay too much. Like, I wish these two were like kept apart by way of like the tag rules. But we pretty much got a preview of their match, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, this match like belongs where it is. It's like a TV undercard match or a pay-per-view pre-show. But yeah, that's all it is, and that's what it needs to be to set up something bigger. So after this is one of the most underrated backstage segments of the show. This is Jay Lethal's faction with Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sonjay Dutt. So Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt just oozing with charisma, great on the mic. I could understand them 100% as they're talking really fast. And then as for Satnam Singh, this guy is being paired with the right people because Satnam Singh just talked with a great accent and a great, like, deep, giant voice. But it doesn't sound dumb like most people. It sounds like a modern day, just giant man who, like, is, like, casually talking. He doesn't have to sound like an Ultimate Warrior or something. As for the content, it's basically them trash-talking Samoa Joe, making fun of his injury. But yeah, the most impressive thing here is their delivery, and they fucking deliver. So the next segment is like an in-ring promo by Christian explaining why he attacked Jungle Boy. And you know what? This blew all of my expectations out of the water. I was expecting something minor, like something generic or petty or like a basic WWE reason. But what I got here had depth, and Christian went to places that I thought no other wrestler would go to aside from MJF. So speaking of MJF, Christian includes in his promo some shots at MJF, so possibly building up to the feud of the AEW originals against the new WWE signings who are being paid more and who MJF is like salty at. So Christian's reasoning is Jungle Boy eliminated him from a casino battle royal that I forgot happened, and this in turn caused him to miss out on a world title shot, causing him to lose possible money to be made not having said title shot or the title. So if it ended there, it would be like a generic stupid reason. But it goes further. So because Christian missed out on some money, he hitched his horse on a moneymaker like Jungle Boy. Because he's a fan favorite, he can leech off his success, and he basically does minimal work, staying at ringside, giving advice. This is a nice way at explaining why he isn't wrestling often. And this is a contrast to his original goal, which is to outwork everyone, and he's not doing that anymore. So yeah, he says this, but he goes even further. We then see a replay of Christian's altercation with Jungle Boy's family, and then he goes as far as saying that Jungle Boy's mother wants Christian to be his daddy. He basically dishonors Jungle Boy's mother, which is already like a spicy fucking segment, but he goes even further than that by talking about Luke Perry, famous actor Luke Perry, being dead. So not only does Christian dishonor Jungle Boy's mother, but he dishonors Jungle Boy's dead father. So yeah, what a great heel move by Christian. I'm sure the late Luke Perry would have loved this because he's a wrestling fan, and he gets it. If he was around and then he like got talked about by a wrestler, he would probably mark out. He's a wrestling fan, remember that. Things that like Luke Perry watched back then were probably worse than this, or went further than this. And this is all work. So they all talked about it like backstage. So yeah, Christian just went the direction of being an irredeemable heel. He gets nuclear heat for this, and this definitely makes me want to tune into the feud. So after this, Luchasaurus shows up. He starts choking Christian. He starts like attacking him for everything he's said and done. But he gets him to stop by playing mind games and evoking the name Marco Stunt, who, as we know from the past, in like interviews, is one of their best friends. Is one of like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus' best friends. They were also like a tag team together. So shit, I think Marco Stunt is going to be re-signed at the end of this, and that's a good thing. So back to what's happening in the ring. Luchasaurus is convinced by Christian. He stops attacking, and then they leave together. So yeah, what I think about this whole segment, all in all, is that I think this is how you blend reality from storyline. Like work from shoot, and not bury your company. So I like this more than the MJF promo in terms of content, but the delivery of MJF is like much better. But yeah, this is how you do it. And not only does it make this feud must watch, but it also builds up to a future feud with MJF. So yeah, I love this segment. This is the best of the night, and I think Christian might be officially back. Captain Charisma is back. So after this, we get a recap of Rampage, where they got their worst demo rating ever. So yeah, something important happened there. Sting came back. So they play a package to let the people know that this happened. And I think Sting should have made an appearance tonight. It would have elevated the show even further, and this could have been more impactful tonight on Dynamite than on Rampage. So after this, we get like a backstage promo by the Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly to address Kyle's feud with Darby and Sting, as well as remind everyone about their match at Forbidden Door, and we find out that it's the Bucks, El Fantasmo, and Hikuleo against Sting, Darby Allin, Hiromu Takahashi, and Shingo Takagi. So I like the match itself on paper, but this is sort of thrown together. I would have preferred to see Takagi and Hiromu at Dynamite first, but yeah, that's what we get. Who knows, maybe we'll see them at Rampage or something. So yeah, the Bucks can deliver entertaining promos, while Kyle O'Reilly goes over the top and is kind of not there yet for me. So after this, we get the qualifying match for the 4-way on Forbidden Door for the All-Atlantic Championship. And I was most looking forward to this match. I was expecting a show stealer. I was expecting these two guys to just like tear the house down. I mean, it's Malakai Black and Penta Oscuro. That's what they're capable of. So that's what I expected. But instead, we actually get a sell-heavy match. We get a storyteller between these two. So the story of the match is Penta's back. He injures his back when he does like an outside dive early on, and I think he landed on his back, but then they play this off in the match. So yeah, Penta does an outside dive, he gets hurt, and then Malakai works on the back. But to add to this, Penta's offense is very physically demanding. So with an injured back, he also hurts himself as he does the moves. So he manages to project this all throughout the match. He sells on offense, which I really like, and then he actually fails to do moves due to the pain in his back. Actually, the back actually causes him the match because that's how the finish happens. And plus, I think Sensei Johnny Lawrence would be proud of these two because there was a lot of like sweeps of the leg and the disruption of like outside dives since they know what each other is capable of, so they have each other scouted. And plus we get this line by Jim Ross where Malakai does an abdominal stretch and then he asks Excalibur if this move is the octopus people are talking about. But as we all know, the octopus is when like the leg is over the person's head in an abdominal stretch position. But Jim Ross doesn't know this, so Excalibur has to explain, and then Jim Ross comes up with the line, "Oh, so it's close to the octopus stretch. It's a squid." So yeah, what a great line by Jim Ross. And I don't like how Excalibur and Tony Schiavone do not respond to this because this is a legit funny line. And this was a good effort by Jim Ross on commentary. So yeah, let's get to the spots of the match. So my spots of the match are basically moments in where Penta Oscuro is selling. So number 3 is the part where Penta tries to do the fear factor on Malakai on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. He tries to do it twice, but his back fails him, and then Malakai manages to escape, but Penta manages to do like the rolling cutter. So that's number 3. Number 2 is the finish. Like right after the top 1 spot, Penta's back gives out as he tries to go for a move. So this gives Malakai Black time to recover. Penta desperately goes for a super kick, and then Malakai Black catches his leg and then hits him with a black mass. So yeah, that's the finish. It was fucking awesome. But that's not the number 1 spot because the number 1 spot is the fear factor from the top turnbuckle that basically takes out Malakai Black. Penta hits it, and he's unable to get to Malakai for the pin because his back is too hurt. He tries to crawl over to Malakai, but he just can't. And then they milk this moment so much. And then when Penta gets to Malakai, he goes for the pin, but Malakai gets his foot on the rope at 2.999. And then this sets up the finish because this is the move that basically takes out Penta. So yeah, what a great spot. Great match. This could have been the main event of Dynamite or like the penultimate match of a major show. If they were just more built up and be put in main eventer positions with this match, this could basically main event a pay-per-view. So yeah, this is match of the night so far. So after the match, Pac comes in. He doesn't even like help Penta out. That's Abrantes' job. He steps over Penta and then he has a stare down with Malakai Black. But then we get, on the Titantron, Miro. And then he cuts a promo on the Bastards and the Pagans. I love this part. And he swears to defeat them in the name of his god. So you know what? After this promo here, I seriously think that Malakai's gonna win. And then Miro's gonna have to chase him for the title. It's gonna be a religious war where Malakai Black, with his pagan powers, fights against Miro's god, which is gonna be incredible. It's gonna be a fucking crusade. So after this, we get a short video package. It's sort of a video promo by Wardlow, and he's cutting it towards Scorpio Sky. It's for the TNT title, and this is like a good promo by Wardlow, but it's too short and still a bit of a step down from his previous rivalry with MJF. So this better go somewhere next week, or I'll officially declare Wardlow a mid-carder, and that he lost the feud with MJF even if he squashed him. So yeah, something better happen. And then after this is Hangman Page versus Silas Young with Adam Cole on commentary. And I'm kind of disappointed that the last real man gimmick is taken away from Silas Young. It's a real fun statement to say, and Silas Young does look the part. So I'm kind of disappointed. I hope it comes back in like the Ring of Honor proper, but God knows when that'll be. So Silas Young here, 42 years old, and then he still moves like a young dude. Honestly, I'm sort of seeing that this might be Hangman Page in the future. With the amount of athleticism he has, I won't be surprised if Hangman will like wrestle like this when he's 42. Because goddamn, he does the thing that Riho does, or Mizuki, where they get up in a limbo-like fashion when their opponent is on them. So they start with these like technical wrestling opening match holds. And then I love how Hangman just cuts it off. Silas Young goes for the sweep of the leg. Then Hangman just blocks it with his feet. Then it's nice to see that Hangman Page's kayfabe leg injury is gone. It's finally healed up because Hangman goes for outside dives and then he doesn't get hurt anymore. So now let's get to the spots of the match. Number 3 is this backbreaker and clothesline combination by Silas Young. Looks really nice. It's a cool looking, high impact, low effort move that looks like it can believably finish a match. Number 2 spot is when Silas Young throws Hangman Page back into the ring, and then he sort of does like a taunt to the crowd, and then like off camera, Hangman comes back with a lariat, and it looks like he did like a rebound sort of move, but they managed to shoot it well coming from off camera. It's an out of nowhere surprising kind of move, and I was definitely surprised by it. And then for the spot of the match, Silas Young does like a Green Bay plunge. How fitting, they're in Milwaukee. I don't know if this is called the Green Bay plunge, but yeah, it's like a plunge move that like Kenny Omega also does to set up for the You Can't Escape. But when Silas Young pops back on the other side, he sort of botches. He like CM Punk loses his balance. Then he gets up, and it's a lot more acceptable since Hangman is on the floor, downed. Silas has space to botch because his opponent is downed. His opponent can't take advantage of this. And then he does a headstand on the turnbuckle in order to do like a moonsault from the ropes. But then Hangman gets right back up, effectively dodging this, and then he goes for a German suplex. And this is followed by the discus lariat, setting up the buckshot lariat that follows for the finish. 1, 2, 3. So this is a nice debut by Silas Young. Works well with Hangman Page, and there's just something about Hangman Page's matches where they flow really well. Because I watched like a lot of DDT matches like for the past few days, especially the ones with Harashima and sometimes Yuki Ueno. They overdo the Japanese fighting spirit spots, and it just breaks the match's rhythm for me. Like, they do this better in Noah a lot. But yeah, that's this match, and it's my second favorite of the night. So after this, we finally get to know who Jay White faces. And so Adam Cole starts things off, and then is immediately followed by Jay White, who like embarrasses him by saying that he lost to Hangman twice. And then as Jay White is on the stage, he actually cuts a good promo, like for an American audience or for an English-speaking audience. He doesn't slow it down, it sounds more natural. But as he gets closer and closer to the ring, when he's finally talking to Hangman Page, he reverts to his like Japan-style promo where he like lingers on every syllable. Like, this is specifically done for a non-English speaking audience, I feel. When he gets face to face with Hangman, it does go back to being natural. I like how he says, "It will not be you." Then they start fighting, where Hangman Page takes the initial advantage, but then Adam Cole low blows him from the outside. And then Jay White kicks his ass as Adam Cole reaches for the IWGP title. And then it looks like he's gonna hit Jay White. And I love how JR points this out, where he says, who's the object of his affection? Because dude is about to betray his friend here. But to be fair, Jay White hasn't been a good friend to Adam Cole too. And then they get back on the same page. Jay White then holds Hangman up, but then we get it. My favorite part of the entire night, Okada's AEW debut. Like his first non-wrestling appearance. And so I love how he's automatically portrayed as the strongest person. He's portrayed really, really well, where he manages to overpower both Adam Cole and Jay White. Like, there is no moment here where he is in danger, where he is being beaten up. He just kicks their ass. And then he teams up with Hangman Page. They kick both of the heels' ass. And then in the middle of it, they go face to face. And then they finish what they were doing, throw the heels out, and then all four of them have this sort of stare down, setting up the four-way match at Forbidden Door. And this is gonna be my most anticipated match. We don't usually see Okada or like any of the New Japan guys in like triple threats or fatal four-ways. They're usually like in six-man tags, multi-man tags, or like singles matches. So I'm very excited for this. I want to see what they can do in four-way. That sounded wrong. Yeah, I'm just happy to see Okada in AEW. This should have happened earlier, but yeah, at least we still get it. And then after this, we get a backstage promo by the baddies. Jade Cargill is improving with her promos. So is Kiera Hogan, who I think performed better. And then Stokely Hathaway, such a gem. He's such a plus for this team. But my only problem is the cut the shit line is getting tiring. Tony's just holding the mic, so what's eliciting this reaction from Jade? I don't get it. If Tony's actually talking, this would work, but now it's just getting cringe. And as for the content of the promo, they're gonna get a new baddie. They're slagging off on Athena and Kris. What's cool about this is that right after the break, he goes straight to Kris and Athena with their response. And how they respond is maybe the most personality I've seen out of Kris Statlander ever. Step in the right direction. And as for Athena, people have been saying that she has like no personality, bad at promos, but this just contradicts that. She is incredibly capable, and I love how they're just like making fun of the baddies and their gimmick. And then Athena even does like a cut the shit line that makes more sense than when Jade does it, because it's being directed at Jade right after that promo. So it looks like it's gonna be like a six-woman tag team match, with the team of Athena, Willow Nightingale, and Kris Statlander against Kiera Hogan, Jade Cargill, and a new baddie. And I have my predictions because someone big just got released. But I don't know if she works as a heel right now because she just did a really babyface thing to a lot of AEW fans. So yeah, I don't know. Would make more sense if she came in as a babyface and not as a baddie. and she would just like overshadow the shit out of Jade. So that would be counterproductive to what Jade is doing. So after this is Marina Shafir versus Toni Storm, and come on. Marina Shafir is not ready for Dynamite. At least show her first on Rampage. Have her get a couple of more reps on Dark. Because this match, although better than the match with Thunder Rosa, the first half was just like so botch-filled. It wasn't great to watch, and yeah, nobody reacted to her coming in. And I really thought before all of this happened that Nyla Rose will carry the shit out of this match, and she's a manager. So yeah, the second half of the match gets like somewhat better. Botches go away, Marina Shafir takes the moves better. Then we get a pretty good finish. Shafir goes for like a pump handle drop, and then Toni Storm rolls her up for the win. But I really think if you're just gonna do one women's match on Dynamite, have it be one of the Joshis, or like, I don't know, Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter would have been better. Or hell, why not just have two women's matches on the show? Remove some non-wrestling segments that don't work till after Forbidden Door and have another women's match. Or I think the best choice would have been to have a tag team match with Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir against Toni Storm and someone else. It feels like this feud heading to Forbidden Door needs like one more show to build it up. So yeah, that's this match. Let's move on to the next segment. So the next segment is Darby Allin and Sting's response to Kyle O'Reilly in the Young Bucks challenge. This is where they reveal that their teammates will be Hiromu Takahashi and Shingo Takagi. And yeah, this match wasn't built up correctly. It wasn't built up at all. It doesn't even have Red Dragon in it, who are actually in the feud with Sting and Darby. Young Bucks are just secondary in this feud. And then Hiromu and Shingo have never been on AEW before. And it would help if they show up like at least once, just like Okada. And then after this, we get promotional material for the matches on Rampage and on Forbidden Door. And I know I haven't been reviewing Rampage for like a couple of weeks, but the card this week is looking really good. And I've been spoiled of a major debut of someone ingovernable. So yeah, I'm totally gonna tune in. I'm gonna make a review for that. Check it out. So yeah, so now it's time for the main event. Oh shit, wrong show. Mark Henry isn't here, so I shouldn't be doing that. So this is a tag team match between the team of Chris Jericho and Lance Archer against Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then they make their entrances. Chris Jericho enters first with Sami and Tay. And by God, this works so much. And then they cut to commercial, and I love how they didn't skip Lance Archer's entrance because they've been doing him dirty for like a couple of weeks, and having him have a jobber entrance would have been like the last straw for me because Lance Archer is awesome and should be higher up in the card. Everybody dies. So the match begins with a brawl like everywhere. Tanahashi and Archer are in the ring, while Mox and Jericho are outside. And then we get a runner-up spot in the match, because Mox throws Jericho to the guardrail, with this kid, who is unsuspectingly like leaning on the guardrail in all yellow, just gets knocked on his ass. I mean, not as bad as the last one. Like a teenager was knocked on his ass. I think that was last week, I forgot. But that was a lot more funny than this one. But this was pretty funny. And yeah, when Mox was making his entrance, I would just like to point out how he reacts to Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti. He flips them both off, like each one of them. And I think I've never seen as much personality from Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti ever. I think they're not the one responsible for ruining the feud with Scorpio Sky. I think that feud was ruined because of the booking. That one was on Tony, not on the performers. Because Sammy and Tay are just now filled with more personality than ever. And I think that's a good thing. So back to the match. The first half of this match is a bit meh. Like, we get this like funny spot. It's funny, but it's terrible. Where Jon Moxley goes for a back rake on Chris Jericho, or like just like digging his nails into his back in like a sexual position while Jericho is like leaning on the timekeeper's table. AEW featured this on their social media page, and come on, AEW social media guy, what the fuck are you doing? You're making this match a joke. You're highlighting the deficiencies of this match for everyone to see. So as I've said, the first half was kind of meh, but the tag in to Tanahashi for the second half saves the match. And you know what? I love how Tanahashi uses like the fighting spirit strike battle, because when I watch DDT, they do it like all the time in various parts of the match. But in this one, Tanahashi and Jericho do it once, where there is like a back and forth, and it means a lot more than when being done like all over the place, because it's like you're just filling up the time with these strike battles, and like it looks like there's no purpose, but here there's fucking purpose. Some negatives I see is that Tanahashi is running gingerly. He's starting to evolve to like New Japan dad level. And in the first part of the match, there was a lot of Daisuke Sasaki-esque like interferences by the managers of Chris Jericho. They help him out a lot. They attack Jon Moxley, but they do it better because they don't do it in front of Aubrey Edwards. There's always a distraction, giving no reason to be disqualified or like the referee to wave off a disqualification. And for the commentary, I think they're putting Tanahashi over too much. They keep saying he's the greatest of all time, one of the top 10s, like over and over again. Yeah, we get it. Tell us more about him and his stuff in New Japan, about the history, instead of like just sucking his dick. So yeah, let's get to the spots of the match. So there weren't really much spots in the match. This was kind of like a WWE match where they don't go for much spectacular shit. There are no like extreme drama moments, but they just have like a solid match. So number 3 spot of the match is this hot tag by Moxley to Tanahashi while he's like leaning over in a prone position on the turnbuckle, like to like get enough reach to tag Mox. Yes, see, there's not much like spectacular happening here, but the match was solid. The number 2 spot of the match, again, not very spectacular. It's a full Nelson slam by Lance Archer, because I haven't seen a full Nelson slam since ever. It's been a long ass time. The most we get is like a half Nelson slam or like a dragon suplex. The full Nelson slam is out of fashion, and I think it should come back because it's an awesome looking move. Or like awesome that's not a finisher. And for the number 1 spot in the match, it's like a high fly flow crossbody, because Tanahashi does this a lot. He like spams his high fly flow in various positions while the opponent is standing, while he's in a prone position, or while he's supine. So Tanahashi goes for like a crossbody high fly flow on Jericho, flips this over, and then he does the walls of Jericho. So the finish of the match is Lance Archer being made to look strong, being hit by 2 finishers to take him down. So Mox goes for the paradigm shift, and then he tags in Tanahashi, and then he goes for a high fly flow for the win. So this isn't my favorite match of the show. It's not like main event level for me. It's like a TV match. Yeah, I hope they had more drama moments or like spectacular spots, because we had like 2 bangers before this. So after the match, the winners have a stare down for their match on Forbidden Door. So Mox and Tanahashi stare down, they like trash talk each other, and then things start to go crazy when like JAS, BCC, Suzuki Gun, and like Kingston and Ortiz like start brawling outside while Mox and Tana are just staring down in the ring. This was a pretty good beatdown, especially the parts where they kick Wheeler Yuta's ass. Like he goes face to face with Suzuki, and then he just like hits him with a chair to the back, and then Archer like throws some popcorn on him, puts the popcorn bucket on his head, and just like throws him to the floor. And then I love the part where like Shooter kicks Jericho's ass. He manages to get the upper hand on Chris Jericho. But yeah, there's mayhem happening, and this is like the best way to close this Dynamite, even if that main event match wasn't that good. So yeah, overall, I don't think this show is better than last week's. Last week's main event was just like next level, but I think the promo segments here, especially Christian's one, was a lot stronger. So this is like already better than I expected. I thought they were gonna like fumble the build to Forbidden Door even more, but they managed to do good here. And shit, Okada was in the show. Arguably the best wrestler in the world. So that's it, review done. Let's get to the ratings. So this week on the ratings, AEW Dynamite scored number 1 on the 18 to 49 demographic, tied with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So I don't know if this is just alphabetical order or they're actually more than like the Real Housewives, but it does say they're number 1, so. And I checked on Twitter, and Brandon Thurston, the guy with the stats, said Dynamite just had a slight advantage a little bit in the ratings. Like, you can't even see it on the demo. But in my opinion, Real Housewives should be number 1 here because they have like a lot more total viewers. And speaking of the total viewers, AEW scored an 879,000. And yeah, that's pretty good. That's up by a lot from last week. Up by 118,000. So Dynamite is moving on up back to its proper place. And as for the female viewers, you know what? They scored higher against a lot of things. And that's kind of cool. So yeah, good week for Dynamite. I hope the Avalanche finally win, so the playoffs will be done for hockey. After checking the internet, the Avalanche will be denying the Lightning their 3rd straight championship. They win. I mean, anything can still happen. But my wish is to see a Canadian team lift the title again. Because the last time they won was like the year I was born. So yeah. Okay, so that's it for the ratings and review for this week's Dynamite. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. And hit that bell notification for future videos. And please, watch my shit.